It's no secret our council faces significant in-year financial challenges. We've always been prudent as a council. It's not down to crazy schemes or bad contracts or frivolous spending. It's rising demand and inflationary pressures and higher than expected wage increases. But there's one area in particular that has caused a significant spiralling runaway costs, and that's care home placements for children. In Derbyshire, the number of children in care has increased by 25% since 2020, and we now look after more than 1,000 children. The factors behind this are well described elsewhere. But in a market where demand outstrips supply, we've seen a further increase in costs, another 15%, while care providers can pick and choose which children to accept and charge hyperinflated costs. This issue continues to burn through our funds, and it is jeopardising our ability to balance our budget. It's an issue that affects all councils with these statutory responsibilities. Our costs of caring for children have increased by 40 million in the last 5 years. That's an increase of 105%, and it's untenable. Fostering nationally is declining, and while locally we're doing all we can to encourage more people to come forward to offer a loving home to children that need it, the sheer increase in admissions that we and others are facing means that we are forced to put more and more children into very expensive residential care placements. Private independent care providers have always been part of the way we look after children, but in recent years this market has become heavily distorted, with some of the biggest care providers making profits of over £300 million last year, all on the backs of some of the most vulnerable children in the country, and paid for solely by the taxpayer. This is immoral. We have placements that cost over £12,000 a week. Some companies involved are offshore, motivated purely by profit, less by a concern for young people. This isn't right. It's exploiting the misfortune of young people who deserve better, and it's treating the taxpayer as a cash cow. We've called upon the government before to deal with this issue, to cap fees or to intervene in this market in some way that can bring these extortionate costs under control, and they have not. And now this risks bringing well-run councils into bankruptcy. We're drinking in the last chance saloon. We're faced with cutting services that residents value. Perversely, we're now having to look at reduced preventative and early intervention services, which would stop young people from coming into our care. We're faced with feeding a spiral that will only erode our budgets quicker, because there are simply now no other alternatives. We're calling upon our MPs and government to tackle this with urgency. We need urgent additional funding now and a pledge of radical intervention in the immediate future to fix the deeply broken and uncompetitive market for residential care. It would be a move that could potentially save millions overnight.